Good morning. How are you today? Welcome. So nice to have you here. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing so well. Wednesday, October 29. Grab a coffee, settle in, and let us contemplate the illusion of easy. Sometimes in life, have you ever experienced this? Some things that are the easy choice, they aren't really so easy in the long run, in practice. And some things that on an initial appearance seem difficult are not quite as challenging as we make them out to be in our mind. And that whole experience is beyond the fact that even difficult things can have great value. But we're drawn to the easy. And there's, good reason for it. We don't want to waste our effort, We don't want to spend our time doing unnecessary things that don't move the needle. And so very often we think, well, the easy path is the way. We're going to unpack some really interesting thoughts on that. Because of course, sometimes it is, and this is the thing, it's not that we have to flog ourselves with difficulty. Sometimes the easy path really is the way to go. And of course, we want to make our paths easy so that we don't have to struggle. The trouble then is that not every decision is that way. But because we're in a flow of searching for the easy, sometimes the wrong, the path that is not optimal, we take it as correct. It looks correct because it feels easy. Looking forward to it, yes. It's beautiful fall here in Wisconsin. Where are you at in the world? Are you experiencing a change of the season? I haven't gotten out with a ton of, photography, but I stepped out just before I turned the camera on, and I snapped a picture of this tree in my neighborhood. Beautiful fall colors, yellow, orange. And I thought I would share this picture with you. Well, I read you a famous poem to frame about the illusion of easy. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I love that poem. That's the framing we want today. We're in our little yellow woods, me literally, because this is my neighborhood. It's like not really a woods, but we have yellow trees. Two paths. Easy, difficult. That's what we're going to be contemplating. Easy, difficult. How do we tell when is the easy path the right path? When is the easy path really easy? When is the difficult path the optimal choice? How do we move toward it? How do we move on a difficult path as easily as possible? There's a great thought. I'm going to start dialing us in with a couple really interesting images, okay? Well, a quote. All right, check out this quote. H.L. Mencken. For every complex problem, there is an answer that is clear, simple, and wrong. Oh, man. The first time I heard that, I just laughed. I was like, oh, man. Because it's not that this is the only way it is. Sometimes complex problems do have simple solutions, and we should be looking for that. People try to take a complex problem and solve it and make it more complicated. Simplicity, of course, very positive. But we have to be on the lookout. Sometimes things that seem so clear, a very simple, elegant solution, wrong. Okay? Now check out this little cartoon I found that is illustrating this in a powerful way. Look at this. Look at these people. Okay, we got the mass of people coming to the fork in the road. Here's Robert Frost, right? We're coming to the fork in the road. A lot of people choosing this one. Simple but wrong. Okay? Some people, look, they got the books on the side. You got to read. You got to look into it. Complex but right. Just a couple people on this path here. And this path is the one less traveled by. A windy little road up the mountain. Clear, simple, and wrong. A lot of people flowing down that left path, the easy path. I did a lot of reflecting on this over the last couple days. I spent a lot of time trying to help people see, okay, a fasting process, very simple, not always easy. Let me think about what we're trying to do, lose weight, right? Lose weight in this industrial consumption culture. Complex problem, right? So I was thinking to myself, okay, for every complex problem, there's an answer that's clear, simple, and wrong. Well, let's really dial in and see what we're thinking here. What is the decision that we're coming to in this fork in the road? Here's what I came up with. See what you think. A lot of people on this road, this is us, right? This is our human experience. We're traveling on this road. You know, what is the actual decision and the problem that we're trying to solve? I think one of the main problems we're trying to solve, you share your experience. How do I get through my day without feeling bad? You know, this is like a big point that we come to. And this is where so many of the decisions, the distractions, the decisions say, what is the easy choice, right? We get to this fork in the road. We have multiple things we're trying to do. Maybe the top priority. How do I get through my day and just feel okay, you know? And then in there is I have health goals. I'm trying to step toward these things. I think we get to a decision like that. Society says we can consume our way to health. And so this is how we get in the flow of dieting. Everybody wants to sell you a diet book. Everybody kind of saying, no, you need to eat, low carb, keto, paleo, primal, and we can go on and on. Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian. It just go on and on. We can list hundreds and hundreds of diets. Keep consuming. Nobody saying stop. Here is a fork in the road. This is what I see about dieting and fasting. To me, fasting is the road less traveled by. Seems very difficult to society. You come to a fork in the road, you're standing there. It's a simple decision, write off fasting. Can't possibly be the right thing to do. Not easy to see or appreciate. And so we flow on this left path. That's how I see it. Not always clear to people. Seems complicated. Might be the right path for a certain person, if you are called to it, right? If you see it, never to be forced. All right? So we're going to dial in on this decision point and to think in detail about the illusion of easy. How does it come to be that we might find ourselves taking this left path? You say, hey, I really resonate with Robert Frost. I like that. You know, in our society, I can see, all right, so many people struggling with weight. It's the vast majority of people. So you got to take the road less traveled by if you want to go to a different place. So we say, we want to go to a different place. We're going to think about where that road diverges. And to help us do that, I'm going to dive back in today with this book that I read a couple chapters from last week, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Really liking the thinking of this book. This session I'm calling The Illusion of Easy. The chapter in the book that I'm taking some of these thoughts from is on cognitive ease, what makes thinking easy. It says here, whenever you're conscious, computations are going on in your brain which maintain and update current answers to key questions. Are things going well? Should my attention be redirected? Is more effort needed here in this task? You can think of it like a cockpit with a set of dials that indicate the current values of each of these questions. One of these dials is measuring the current cognitive ease, and its range is between easy and strained. Easy is a sign that things are going well, no major threats, no news, no need to redirect our attention or mobilize our effort. Okay, that's like easy mode. Okay, we got easy mode in our thinking, and they have a picture here, which I'll show you to illustrate. Here's the picture of cognitive ease. This is what's happening in the brain. We got a repeated experience is happening. We're seeing words that are coming at us that are very easy to read. We've got an idea that we've primed. We're talking about that, right? That we've kind of set the mental stage for what to expect. And we're in a good mood, right? All these things are flowing in to a place where it's easy, right? Where the thinking is easy to do. And those things cluster, and look what clusters out of it. Hey, this feels familiar, right? Things that feel familiar tend to feel true. And things that feel true, we tend to interpret as good. So we say, hey, this is feeling true. I know about this. This feels good. Feels effortless to do. That's how we just flow through a space like that. Now that can be good or bad, right? We want to be flowing through a path like that. We've primed good ideas. Experiences that are happening are positive. A clear display is truthful. It's coming in, we can see it, and then it actually is true. And it feels good because it is. Okay, but you could see clear display might be coming in as something untruthful. But we've seen it so many times. Easy to flow in. A situation, right? A habit can be easy because of our repeated experience. It says the various causes of ease or strain have interchangeable effects. When you're in a state of cognitive ease, you're probably in a good mood. You like what you see. You believe what you hear. You trust your intuitions. And you feel that your current situation is comfortably familiar. That's the cluster of cognitive ease, for good or bad. Remember our system 1 or 2. System 1, that automatic intuitive thinking, right? That is driving our instantaneous assessments of things, and also our beliefs and feelings. And then system 2, like where we really drive in our actual, what we really think of as our thinking, our very focused contemplation. The impression of familiarity is produced by system 1, and system 2 relies on that impression for a true-false judgment. Right? You think what we're trying to do in that space, where we're coming to the fork in the road. Which way is the true way? Which is the right answer? The lesson of figure 5 that I showed you there is that predictable illusions inevitably occur if a judgment is based on an impression of cognitive ease or strain. Whether something is easy to think about or difficult to think about, clusters true, false. See the association. Anything that makes it easier for the associative machine to run smoothly will also bias our beliefs. Listen to this, a reliable way to make people believe in falsehoods is frequent repetition, because familiarity is not easily distinguished from truth. I want this for everybody. I don't want people being manipulated. When you hear that, don't you just start to get it with advertising and marketing and what's happening and ads and TV is just repeated? Think everything from trying to sell products to politicians, right? Just repeat it. Well, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. You build familiarity, breaks down the barriers, creates routine. Hard to distinguish the familiar from the truthful. That's hardwired into how the brain works. Obviously, some marketer wants it to make it easy for us to believe what they are telling us. So they hammer us with commercials again and again and again. It obviously works. All right, here's a test that they did. And you can take the first part of the little test just for fun, but you don't really have to. The test isn't really the test. This is what's so interesting about these tests. They tell people they're testing something, and then they're testing something else. So give them these two little puzzles, okay? If it takes 5 machines, 5 minutes, okay, and the way they do it in their research study, you're supposed to just answer it, right? You're not supposed to sit there for 2 minutes and really think about it. Just answer the question, then you answer the next one. It takes 5 machines, 5 minutes to make 5 widgets. How long would it take 100 machines to make 100 widgets? 100 minutes or 5 minutes? Okay, circle your thing, go right on. In a lake, there's a patch of lily pads. Every day the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for it to cover half the lake? 24 days or 47 days? Okay, so those are the questions. They have an intuitive answer that if you're just going through it, and then they have a correct answer. If you just flow through the logic, you might say 100 minutes or 24 days because it's, it matches. But then you think through it and you say the answer's, like when you think through it clearly, 5 minutes and 47 days. So the real test, that's not even the test, is to really get the questions right. Here's what the real test was. "40 Princeton students going through these puzzles. Half of them saw the puzzles in a small font in washed out gray print." Okay, very hard to read. puzzles were legible, but the font induced a lot of cognitive strain, difficult to read and understand. Then the other half saw them clearly. The results tell a clear story. 90% of students who saw the test in the normal font got at least one of the questions wrong. But the proportion dropped to 35% when the font was barely legible. You read this correctly. The performance was better with the bad font. Cognitive strain, whatever its source, mobilizes System 2, which is more likely to reject the intuitive answer suggested by System 1. Isn't that interesting? It's unexpected, right? But then you start to see what's happening, all right? When we have been primed to think a certain thing, when we are relying on an intuition and habits, when we have been conditioned by repeated exposure and familiarity to marketing and things to make us think a certain way, we will make an intuitive decision. And you have to interrupt it, something that interrupts it. Okay, so we start to really engage the actual cognitive machinery, then we can generate awareness, right? You can realize, oh, we're at a difficult decision point. Like, bring awareness to it. Realize there could be a cognitive illusion. Is a cognitive illusion happening in a situation where you are struggling to move in the direction that you want to go? Right? Are you getting to a fork in the road? Do you see, like, I would like to take the road less traveled by. I would like to stop a weight gain process from happening, take a different path. Have to be very thoughtful, have to build awareness. Say, where are the decision points? Where am I taking a path that feels familiar? Therefore, it's easy. Therefore, we bypass really our thinking about it, right? We just flow into the same pattern. What is the small, gray, fuzzy print that makes us really slow down and look at the situation that's happening and say, hey, I am going to take the path less traveled by? It's going to make all the difference. That thinking going to make all the difference. They did another study that I'll just summarize. They took a student newspaper at the University of Michigan, and they took a box on the front page, little box in the corner, and every day they put a Turkish word or a Turkish sounding word, but it like in English, it just looks like gobbledygook, like it's not intelligible if you don't read the language. Jig, just a random word. And they did this for like months. Random words. Anybody who wrote into the paper say, what is this random words? They just tell everybody, no explanation other than the purchaser of the display wished for anonymity. So just all these random words there. But then there's like 10 different words, and some words only appeared once, some twice, some 5 times, some or one 25 times. So frequency of the words. When the mysterious ads ended, the investigators sent questionnaires to university students asking for their impressions of whether the words mean something good or bad. They just had to rate, is the word good or bad? Results are spectacular. The words that were presented more frequently were rated much more favorably than the words that had been shown only once or twice. This experiment has been confirmed many different ways, using Chinese characters, faces, and randomly shaped objects. Is the object good or bad? Depends on how many times you've been seeing it or associated with. It's called the mere exposure effect. I just think what this means for food advertising, right? If you're struggling like with food cravings, trying to make healthy food choices, no commercials out there for just broccoli. You know what I mean? No commercials. New Brussels sprouts, like this sort of thing. Whole, natural foods from the earth. Rare you could see an advertisement for something like that. What are you exposed to? The soda commercials, the chip commercials, the alcohol commercials, just constantly flooding. Think of the mere exposure effect. What does that do to create cognitive illusions of ease, to to shape our familiarity, guide our choices and decisions. Mere exposure effect. The author argued that the effect of repetition on liking is a profoundly important biological fact, and that it extends to all animals. To survive in a frequently dangerous world, an organism should react cautiously to a novel stimulus and withdraw and fear. Survival prospects are poor for an animal that is not suspicious of novelty. However, it is also adaptive for the initial caution to fade if the stimulus is actually safe. The mere exposure effect occurs because the repeated exposure of a stimulus is followed by nothing bad, and such a stimulus will eventually become a safety signal, and safety is good. This is how we get used to things. Think of, you've seen that analogy, the frog in the boiling water, right? If you just throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump right out, okay? But if you put the frog in cold water and slowly heat it up, apparently it never jumps out, and it'll boil to death, right? Just think of how many Burger King ads have you seen, right? It's just turning up the water in the pot, right? Creating the cognitive ease, making it so easy for us to say, oh, I'm hungry, I'm getting that fork in the road. How do I get through my day and just feel okay? That's the decision people making, right in that moment. Okay, you've been primed with 1,000 primers from marketing, advertising, and all the subtle priming from the culture. Because like that image I showed, everybody walking in a direction is what people do. That's the easy choice. It's the illusion of easy, because how easy is it really? If we're actually trying to get to a certain place. You say, okay, it's easy to go on this path. I'm sitting here in Madison, I'm going to try to walk across, over to Minneapolis. It's a big journey, right? Okay, but I'm on the road to Chicago. So you say, well, this path is easy. Okay, but it's not going where we want to go, right? So it's if I want to get to Minneapolis and I'm walking towards Chicago and I say, hey, I'm not walking too fast, is easy. Okay, that's an illusion of easy because it's not taking me where I want to go. I take the path, less travel, get on the different path. Create awareness, really, do I have a compass, do I have a compass? Am I even going in the right direction? Much more important to say, where is my direction going, than whether, I'm not walking too fast, but we're going in the wrong direction. Got to be aware of it. If I say, hey, this walk's going really well, it's an illusion. That's the cognitive illusion. It's the illusion of easy because it's not taking me where I want to go. Mere exposure effect. Good mood is a signal things are generally going well. Bad mood indicates things not going well. Might be a threat. Vigilance required. Right? So cognitive ease, both a cause and a consequence of a pleasant feeling, can be good if we bring it back around. Can be good. And we want to use our awareness to shape our experience as much as possible to make our cognitive ease the decision that gets us really on the right track. Then we can flow with it. Here's how he ends, a couple sentences. We must be inclined to believe it because it's been repeated so often, but let's think through it again. That's his admonishment here. I would say absolutely. That's the process of awareness. Hey, this feels really easy. Is this really the thing? Hey, if it is, you can flow through it. It's great. Wait a second. This feels like a fork in the road. You're maybe we need to really take some space, slow down, and get our system 2 thinking really dialed in on it. I am in a very good mood today, and my system 2 probably weaker than usual. I should be extra careful. Okay? A good perspective to have. Are things true? Is it the illusion of being true? Let's generate awareness. Let's focus in on it. Let's think about the road left less traveled. Here we go. This is what I suggest our course should be. Coming to the fork in the road. We want to be thoughtful people. We don't want to just do what everybody else is doing. We don't want to just think the way everyone else is thinking. Mass conditioning of people through billion-dollar corporate advertising. We want to say, hey, what is true? What is true from my life? And what is the path that I intelligently, thoughtfully, voluntarily choose to walk? What is the direction that I want to go? I hope you're finding yourself on a path like that. We keep working on it every weekday. We keep walking toward it together. Real nice to have you here. I wish you the very best. I see you back here tomorrow.